Okay, do you often wake up in the middle of the night and are hit with just a wave of insomnia? Your mind goes crazy, you can't get back to sleep, the whole 9 yards. Well, as it turns out, that might be normal. This video is part of a collaboration named Thursday BookTube. It's hosted by Life with Patty and myself. We'd love to have you upload a video on Thursday, any sort of reading material you enjoy, magazine, book, cookbook, coloring book, anything you like that is reading material, it has the word book in it. It's all good. Just be sure to hashtag Thursday BookTube and tag myself and Life with Patty, and we'll get you on the playlist. So there's a book that came out which is making sort of its rounds, and it's hard to get a hold of, and I didn't want to buy it. So I went on hold at the library for the book, and it finally came up in the Audible version. You could listen to it. So I grabbed it online, and it's about 6.5 hours, and I am going to do a full review on Wintering when I'm finished, but because it is an Audible type book, it's taking a longer time to listen to than it would for me to actually read it. In the book Wintering, Katherine May talks a lot about winter and darkness and our own emotional states and physical states through this period of time. And there's a bigger arc here. And again, I'm going to be talking about that when I finish the book and I have a sense of the arc. But one of the chapters was called Slumber. And she talks about sleeping, she talks about hibernation, she talks about our need for more sleep during the winter than we get during the summer, and all the things that go along with winter sleep. As part of this, she gets into the concept of hibernation and focuses on a little rodent called the dormouse. Dormice are these cute little things that are one of the few rodents that actually hibernate, and she does some research and talks to a person who is an expert in these dormice, and she tells us about the whole cycle of how the dormice fatten up and what it takes for them to fatten up so that they're warm and secured for the winter, and if they nest together, if they nest with others, and how different factors affects their ability to successfully hibernate for what can be as long as 6 months every year. She talks about the fact that dormice are not like comatose for 6 months or 5 months or however long their hibernation period is. Every 10 days or so, they kind of wake up, they go to the bathroom, they might refresh themselves, they have a little bit of activity, and then they go back to sleep. She says this is to keep their muscle mass going, to keep their kidneys flushed, and all the other things that a body needs to do that can't do if it is in a state of hibernation or absolute non-movement for 6 months. So with that in mind, she starts talking about sleeping habits that we have had for thousands of years and which only recently have become disrupted. And those sleeping habits are called the second sleep. And evidently it was very customary for people to go to sleep for a few hours in the evening, night, wake up, be awake for an hour or two, go visiting, do projects, take care of business around the house, and then go back to sleep until the morning. She said she was amazed she had never heard about it and that no one talks about it. And I was looking into this after I finished listening to that chapter of Slumber. It's something called the second sleep, and the period of time when you're awake between the first sleep and the second sleep is called the watch. And evidently it was very common. People would get up, they would do things. Like I said, they would go visiting, they would cook, they would mend. Your sleep was almost like 2 siestas with this period of activity between them. In the article that I read that talked about this topic, they said that actually this has been borne out by science. They have put people in sensory deprivation modes, like there's no natural light, no natural dark. The person has to work out their own rhythm, their own sleep rhythm and eat rhythm without any external signals like light or dark or it's breakfast or it's dinner or anything like that. There's none of that. They have to work that out in some sort of unit that is completely isolated from the natural world. What they found is that eventually sleep cycles changed into exactly the sleep cycle which I have described. Periods of short sleep followed by some activities, followed by more periods of short sleep. So this was very interesting. I cannot tell you how many people I know wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep, myself included. And our current society and how we work and how we live does not accommodate that. You have to go to bed at a certain time so you can get up at a certain time. You have to get your 8 hours in. And there's no room for waking up in the middle of the night and doing activities. However, now that I'm retired, I am doing that. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I don't fight it. I get up, I make a cup of tea, I might read, I might wander around the house, and you know what, an hour or two later, I'm fast asleep again. So I'm here to tell you that what we might call dysfunctional sleep or insomnia is actually our natural rhythm. I'm interested in your thoughts on this. As I said, this book, Wintering by Katherine May, is very interesting, and I'm about halfway through with the Audible style book. And I'd be real interested to hear what you have to say and what you think about this. And if you do wake up in the middle of the night frequently. I will be reviewing the whole book probably in a couple of weeks because it's taking a long time to get through this. I sit down for 20 minutes to half an hour each time and listen to it. And it is interesting, but I want to get the full arc of the book before I review it. However, that little segment was very, very interesting to me, and I thought you might find it interesting too. Again, the book is Wintering by Katherine May. Thank you so much for watching.